One of Europe's flagship airlines is working on fuel-efficient V-shaped plane that seats passengers in its wings. Look at this thing. Doesn't that represent a little resemblance of the TR-3B there? I'm kind of thinking that they're going to start using this to acclimate the public, to start saying, hey, look at this, and then, or at least maybe if they don't use this, because this is just in a prototype phase right now, they could obviously see once they introduce TR-3Bs, the flying triangle, for those who don't know what that is, that the military has developed since the 1990s, or maybe the 80s. They see this picture, they can start getting acclimated to this stuff, and then bam, oh, we made this other design. So the design is meant to be more fuel efficient than other aircrafts. It's in its early phases and unlikely to be in service before 2040. So that's a long time, 2040. God, for the humanity's sake, because there hasn't been any innovation in airplanes very much. You know, you can get more comforts, you can do whatever, but to have something like that, when you start talking about making it more fuel efficient too, V-shaped plane is designed to use 20% less fuel. And then, so they say this is in the name of cutting the CO2 emissions. So they had a little pressure on them. Like I said, let's come up with solutions. Whether we believe the argument or not, let's just have solutions. Not a carbon tax solution, which makes prices go up and restrict travel and the price of goods, foods and services increase dramatically. It's like, no thanks. So this flying V is lighter and more aerodynamic. Will need 20% less fuel than an Airbus A350. Today's most advanced craft. You think that's today's most advanced craft, ladies and gentlemen? An Airbus? That's like the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. There's all kinds of military operation, secret craft that they don't want you to know about that are thousands of times more advanced than an Airbus. So this will carry 314 passengers and actually 1,722 square feet of cargo. That's crazy. So here's a big question. Are they going to lighten up the carry-on? Or even when you check your luggage, are they going to make the cost of that go down? Here's a rendering of the top side. It's got these, that puts the engines on top. Cool design though, I will give it that. But again, I don't think this will, 2040 is a long time for this to manifest. But I think it's more about acclimating the public in thinking in a different way, and then if they do decide to release TR-3Bs publicly, saying that this is like they did with the stealth bomber. You hardly ever see those things around though, but they finally admitted it. Big point here, overseas flights, travel long distance are more sustainable because you're using less gas, you can fly longer, less resistance. Of course, less resistance means less fuel. Very cool stuff. Nice to see some innovation at least. And as again, coming from the private companies. Now, is this being fed to them by somebody in the government to try to get this idea out there? I don't know, but it's very interesting to see. And we might be living in a neat future in the coming years. All right, I want to give a shout out to the chat here before we close up. Alberto in the house, Amanda in the house, Zeter, Philip, Blair, Peter Hallbly looks like he's still around. Chad, Terry, awesome to have you guys on board today for today's show. Appreciate the support and anything you can do. It's like I said, it's been a lot harder nowadays with the censorship, and YouTube's going to crack down. We could lose this channel at any time. We don't know. They could basically bend the rules to any of their way, shape, or form they see fit. But Trump's putting a little pressure on the tech industries, and I'd like to see some things change. It's like you think back just a few years ago, it's like, do you remember when YouTube was actually free speech? It's like, wow.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You could actually talk about anything and without having issues. Now it's like, well, if you say or do something wrong, it's like, are the AI bots going to pick up on it and flag it? First it's demonetization, then you start getting copyright or strikes, whatever. It never ends. It's a never-ending battle. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next week for other news. Bye-bye. Oh, don't forget, before I close out, ECETI, again, if you want to join us on that trip, that's August 8th through the 11th. Go to eceti.org to book your plans and take a look at the all the directions there. Shane Robinson from Unbiased on the Fence made a nice video going through all this. I actually want to get him on the show, and then we can break down more information about that as well and get this thing hyped up a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Visit k2d4network.com today.